Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to educate our viewers. And for those that don't know you, can you share a little bit more? Which trade did you decide to get into, and how long have you been in that industry?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nick, for inviting me on your podcast. And my name is Kumar Mehta, and I'm the owner of Himalaya Pest Control. So we specialize, or we are in a service industry, which is pest control. When you have bugs and all, you got to have somebody who knows what to do and take care of them. So that is what we do.
So, how long have you been in the pest control industry?
So total, I've been in the industry for 25 years. I started out in 2000. I worked for a company, international company, for 4 years, and then there was a good time to do something on our own, and that's what we did. So in 2004, we started our own company.
So, 25 years experience in the pest control.
Absolutely.
Wow. So, let me ask you something like you said first you worked for another company and then you started your own business.
That
Is
is
that
correct.
correct?
That is correct.
Okay, that's important. I think it's very important to work for somebody else first before you start your own business. You can share a little bit more about that. Did the past experience help you start your own business?
Well, see, our industry is regulated industry. So we are regulated by Department of Agriculture. So Georgia Department of Agriculture. So it's a government body that regulates. And one of the requirement is you have to be in the industry working for 2 years before you can take the exams and get your own licensing. And so obviously when you work in the field, now actual practical applications and all. So I started working for a company, a international big company, and then we got our licenses, and obviously America is a land of opportunity, definitely, and it's a capitalist country, right? So it's a free enterprise country, and ultimately you want to be your own boss. So that is what my dream was, that I want to own my own business rather than working for somebody. So we jumped with both the feet and both the hands.
Nice. And let me take you back a little bit again. So how long did it take you to get your license? Do you remember?
Yes, so it takes 2 years. So you have to be registered in our industry. Now it does not apply to everybody, but in our industry you have to be registered employee of a company for 2 years. Now there are other ways you can start a company even though you don't have any of those. You can start and hire somebody, but then you're not going to have control over, right? I mean, somebody can leave the company and now you're back to square one. So I worked for 2 years as a registered employee of a company. Then it gives me an opportunity to take a higher exam, and which provides me, if I pass those exams, then I get my own licenses, and then I can work as more, either for the company or I hold the license. So it comes to my home rather than to the company. And that's when that basically the entire process was 4 years.
4 years. So it took you 4 years to be able to get your license and eventually open up your own business.
Yes, and a lot of time we think the small hurdles that comes in the way, right? The management change, and they were changing a lot of things that was not of any problem, and they're still fixing it just because the CEO or VP is new. Now he wants to do totally, refurbish everything, right? So he
Yes.
wants to break things that is already working, and that is at the same time it was a down economy. So lot of stress that was going in the industry, and now we say, hey, it's time to for us to go separate ways and start our own.
Okay. And can you share some of the biggest challenges early on when you started the business? I know it's kind of it's not easy. A lot of people think they can start a business, but it's not for everybody. So can you share some of those challenges and how did you overcome those?
So the first thing is the expertise. That's the first biggest challenge people have. They don't know. The second thing is there are a lot of unknowns. For example, you don't know everything how to run a business. The money is another one, capital. If you don't need capital, you will probably need to sustain your life or lifestyle for at least 3 to 5 years before you turn a profit. And those are the Small Business Administration's numbers or statistics that pretty much most businesses fail in first year, if not then in first 3 years, if not then first 5 years, right? So that is something that it is always said that if you can live without paycheck for 3.5 years, then that's a right situation where you can start your own, especially traditional business wise.
I see. Well,
And then of course, when I left the company, I wanted to scope the market, and so I got interviewed by other companies to see what is going on in the industry, right? What is my marketability and all. And one of the person that interviewed me say, hey, I guess she sensed something that I want to own my own business, because she owned a business with her husband. Again, her husband passed away and it was too much for her to handle. So then at the time, she ended up selling it to the bigger company, and she started working for that big company as a nice position. And as soon as she saw me interviewed 2 times, she said, hey, you need to start your own. And my answer to that is, I don't know. I know how to kill the bugs, but I don't know anything else. And she was nice enough to tell, hey, she took a yellow pad, started writing down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is how you start. And if you need the service tickets or service contracts or something, here, change the names and get going. And you always find somebody who is willing to help.
that's very important. Yeah, I agree.
Now I strongly believe in karma, right? Whatever goes around comes around. And so even though knowingly the state that we are in, it's a right to work state. That means if I steal customers from my company, they cannot come after me. But because knowingly we committed to that, we did not solicit any of my customers, and I had about 1,000 customers. So it's not a small amount of customers. If I get 30%, it's a good start. We started with 0 customers. Actually, one. My sister, and there was a 60 miles one-way trip. And because it's a family, we didn't charge any money for the service. So we used to pay for our own gas time and everything, go 60 miles, service the house, but she became a biggest loudspeaker for us. So, and then of course, you start and before you run, you got to jog. Before you jog, you got to walk. You got to walk, you got to crawl. So we did all that, and it took a minute before we saw the profit, but we made it.
Yeah. There's a saying that it says, I don't know if you know it, but overnight success usually takes 3 to 5 years to accomplish.
Well,
So,
look at any success stories. Michael Jordan. I was listening to his interview, and people say he's lucky, right? And his answer was, you did not come for all the years I could not put the ball in the basket. So it is not a luck. It's basically you have to work work harder, because employment, yeah, you go and you show up and you make money. When you're your own boss, unless and until you produce, you don't make money.
Basically, you have to make your own luck.
That's true.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the area your company specializes in, and why did you choose that area from all the options in the pest control world? What do you specialize in, and why did you choose that?
So we started out in 2004, and we started out with all general pest control. And I walked into a hotel customer. He just bought the hotel, and I gave him my price and all, and I was the highest priced company. And his argument was, "You are a new small company. You need customers. Why you are that expensive?" And so I explained him what I intend to do with my price and how I'm going to service the account. And he said, "Give me 2 days and I'll call you back." As a business owner, when you walk away from that, you always think, "Hey man, I should have given him better price right there and then." And in 2 days he calls me, says, "Hey, get started." Now think about it, Nick. He showed me all the prices of other companies that he got quote for. And literally I was the highest, on the cost. And so over the phone, I asked, "Hey, Bob, why choose us?" It does not make sense because I was the most expensive guy. And he said, "We'll talk later on. Just come on over. Start whenever you want to start. And I'm going to be at the hotel." And fast forward now, we did everything what I used to do for my company that I was working for. And I'll take you a step back. When I got started, I was totally new for pest control company, and the route that they put me on, that was the most disturbed routes. Meaning, when you show up with a company cap, customer starts cursing you because the other technicians did not do what they were supposed to do. They got the training, they got everything, they got weekly training, all those things, yet the person did not have character to provide what he's getting paid for. And so the CSR team, all together, they said no new guys on the route because they were getting so many curse calls coming in.
Wow.
And so my manager looks at me. I said, "Buddy, that's your call. You are the manager. I'm not. But I'll not put you down." So he said, "No, I want him on this route." And so, in 3 months, 6 months, now the calls, there were cursing calls from customers turned into compliment calls. And it's a simple thing. You do what you are supposed to do, right? I mean, you promise something and don't do something else. I did exactly that. I told them this is what I'm going to do. And in fact, I offered them. Nowadays, the security cameras are so easy, so cheap. Back in days, I said, "I'll buy you one. You put it wherever you want to see. If you want to check what I'm saying and I'm doing, you can check it anytime." And so people started calling to the office and started complimenting, and they could not believe what they are hearing. So basically, same thing I applied when I opened my company. And Bob, in 5-7 months, he said, "I want you to come to the hotel." And he said, "Hey, that room has bed bugs."
Oh.
And basically, obviously, I was a new company. I did not have money. My wife was pregnant. We did not even know how we going to pay for the delivery of a baby. I did not know how we going to buy the diapers and stuff. right? And then of course she did not wanted to work once the baby comes. And I said, no problem. You just do what you need to do. I'll do what I need to. Right? So obviously, then Bob says, hey, I want you to treat my bed bugs. And I said, no, don't tell me what to do and what not to do. My contract does not say bed bugs. There are 1,800 companies, find somebody to do it. And that is when this is how people watch you, right? So he was watching me, even though he hired me with the highest price for the service. He was watching me every time I go, and he said, "Look, I've been watching you do my pest control for my hotel, and you are doing exactly what you're saying or more. So if you take this job, I know that you are going to do well. You're going to kill all the bugs." I said, "Now you're talking, right?" And I said, "Bob, I need a equipment to do the job." And he turns around and go, "Hey, go get it." In fact, that customer is still our customer after 20 years. So if you do it right, basically people recognize. But at the same time, I said, "I don't have money, Bob." And so making story short, he bought the equipment that I needed at the time, and and I cut my price in half because we priced it and everything. He agreed to it, and as soon as he said, "I'm going to buy a machine," I said, "Hey, I'm going to learn," so the price is half. And Bob was nice enough to say at the time, say, "Hey, you are a new company, you need money, you just don't change the price, you keep the same price. I don't mind paying you what we decided on or we agreed on." I said, "No, it's only fair if you are buying a machine and I'm learning. There has to be a mutual interest there." So we cut the price in half, and what Bob is paying in 2004 is still paying the same price. We did not go up on the price, right? So that is how we stumble upon the expertise or specialty, because bed bugs are a super bug in our industry. We have 15 to 1800 companies any time of the year in Georgia, and only handful wants to touch those bugs. So that tells about the bug.
So
And
you
it's
so you specialize mainly in bed bug.
we specialize in any problems that is long term. So whether it is rats, whether it is German roaches, whether it is whatever it is. But yes, we primarily is a bedbug company,
Bed
and for
bug.
last 7 8 years, that is all we do, nothing else.
Do you do commercial and residential, or just one or the other? Just curious.
We do any account that has bed bugs. So whether it is a emergency room or in a hospital, or a commercial or a residential or short term rentals.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I was asking is because I believe specialization in a specific niche is very important to kind of differentiate yourself from all the competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's so many companies doing pest control, but not everybody is doing bed bugs, for example.
Very true.
So being an expert in a particular niche, I believe is very important and part of the success for many small businesses.
Absolutely. And again, the reason we chose that is because you cannot do all by together, right? So bedbug requires a lot of efforts. It's a very aggressive treatment. It's a tiring treatment, very detailed treatment. So it requires a 100% focus on it. And so then we started lagging out on other things. It's not that we cannot handle everything else. It just this takes a lot more efforts and lot more energy than the other bugs. So we had to decide whether we want to continue doing bed bugs or doing everything. And so we say, hey, why not we focus just on bed bugs, because people need a good bed bug treatment, which typically, since since 2004, well, 2005 was our first job. Since 2005, we only takes about one treatment to kill all the bed bugs, and that shows you the consistency also for 20 years, almost 20 years, right? And so we started focusing only on bed bugs, nothing else.
On the bed bugs, do you have customers on subscription or it's a one-time treatment as you mentioned? Or you have customers that subscribe and you can visit every year for inspections and stuff like that?
Great question. Typically, subscription is the way to go. However, when it comes to bed bugs, the it basically, those bed bugs will get into your mind so bad, and so we decided from the beginning is we rather put more time and efforts on the first treatment, and that way we kill everything. And if a customer choose to, they can call us anytime for inspection for a price, and we don't mind doing it. But normally, to answer your question, no, it's not a subscription based. We want to kill these bugs once in one treatment. Can bed bugs come again? Yes, but we don't put them on a regular schedule where we keep charging them money, little bit money every time.
Yeah.
So we make sure that we kill everything. That treatment, whatever they pay, we make every penny work. And our goal is we want to see a smile on their face. We want to have them sleep without thinking that bed bugs are going to bite them or kids. So that's how we do it. One treatment be done.
Okay. You touched base a little bit on the pricing, but I want to ask you, many small business owners, they struggle with pricing their jobs. So you, in general, how do you price your jobs? Are they like fixed prices that you have, or you have a specific formula that you use for every job? If you could share something about your pricing strategy, I think it's going to be very helpful.
So another great question. We are in a free enterprise system, right? As a business owner, I decide what I want to work for, how much do I want to charge, and my customers decide whether they want to hire me or not. So my advice or my thinking on it is, I want to look at the work. That's the first thing. Anytime somebody calls us, we don't price it over the phone based on their house size and all these things. There are two reasons for it. One, most people don't know that they really have bed bugs. So a bug that they found on a bed does not mean it is a bed bug.
That is
Right?
true.
So we want to identify that we are shooting for the right bug. So we obviously, when customer calls, I don't know the customer, I don't know their house. So the first step for us is to visit their home, look at the problem first, confirm that it is bed bugs or not. And even though we were a new company back in days, we never misguided our customers. If we don't find bed bugs, we say, hey, Nick, you don't need any treatment because you don't have bed bugs, right? And that takes a lot of pressure, a lot of stress away from the customer. And in that case, whatever we charge a trip charge, if we travel a bit, then we charge a trip charge for it. That is all they pay, and they don't have to worry about paying anything else beyond. If something that we can pinpoint what the problem may be, if it is not bed bugs, then we prepare them, we suggest them these are the things you can do, and you can also hire a company who does pest control. If you don't have it, we can recommend you. And as a result of it, a lot of companies refer us for bed bugs because they know that we're going to take care of their customers very well. And same thing is when somebody asks us for a company referral, we refer to other companies who we know they're going to take care of the customer well. I don't have to make a dime out of it, or I don't pay any dime to any companies. It is a true service to our customer.
I see.
Now, talking about the pricing, in all these 20 years, there's always, you find a couple of people who calls as a customer and try to find out the pricing. And when they ask certain questions, obviously, with your experience, you always know, hey, cut the chase. What are you trying to do, right? and in this 20 years, couple of guys told me that, hey, I'm trying to start my own company, and I'm trying to survey the pricing so I can price myself.
Yes.
I said, no, then you don't start your company, because you cannot decide your pricing based on somebody else's company. Right?
That is so true.
You decide what kind of profit you want to keep, how you're going to service it, and what you're going to back it up with. So you're guaranteed. And whatever the fair price you think, you charge. And if customers agree to it, they'll hire you. Because price is the last thing people think about.
Especially if you have bed bugs.
Well, anything. Think about it. Right? If somebody has rats and they hire a company who does not know anything, he knows how to sells it, but cannot back it up with the action, eventually customer is going to say, hey, you know what? This is not a company. The result is, nowadays, in old days, people used to tell others. Nowadays, the internet does that for them. And that magnifies, if you have one bad review, it magnifies to thousands of people. Because every time somebody search it up, they can read those bad reviews. And so, it always a good practice to look at the job and price it for the price that you want to work for. I hope I gave you I gave the answer for the question.
Yes, you did for sure. Yeah, that's what I was curious. If you go and scout all the other pest control companies at the beginning just to see where to price yourself.
Yeah,
But-
even to date, we don't survey price. And the
Okay.
reason is, what I got, other companies cannot compete with me. What other companies got, I cannot compete with them. And certainly, I don't want to compete them on the price. I want to compete them on a value, right? And
I see.
so then it doesn't matter. People always tell, hey, you are the half of the price of the other company. I say, I don't care. And people say you are more than double the price the other company. Say, I don't care. You decide who you want to hire. But if you are hiring us, this is the price we want to charge.
Okay. Well, as a small business owner, tell me what were at the beginning, like what marketing channels worked for you to get a stream of customers? Because you start your business, you get your license, but you're on your own, you don't have any customers. At some point, you're going to start getting the referrals because your company is doing a great job, for example. But before that, can you tell us a little bit more what worked for you and what didn't work?
So remember, I told you that my first customer was my sister at no charge. And she became a loudspeaker for us. Now, obviously, we used to drive 60 miles one way. I used to drive 60 miles one way, but then she created enough customer base for me in that area that I go 2-3 days. I stay with her, so I get to play with her son, help her out in different things, and then take care of my customers, and then come back to my home. And then I go back again in 3 months. Now those customers started referring to their friends and family, and so word of mouth was the best thing for us. And that whether it is So we drove, I was just talking to somebody a few days ago that in the beginning I used to drive 200 to 300 miles a day, because wherever the customer came, we followed the customers. So if somebody refers me a customer 60 miles away, I'll go service that customer. Back in days, the gas was not as pricey as today, and I had a lot of time. So driving was not a problem. So we followed the customer. Wherever the referral came, we took care of it. And then eventually they refer us back to our area and all. So then eventually it grew.
I see. What about like early on? Did you use any SEO? Like, I know you mentioned right now reviews. Reviews are very important too. Does your company try to collect reviews? How important is having reviews right now, since everybody is searching online?
Absolutely. I mean, anytime we have a customer, we always tell the customer, say, hey, there is only one reason for our existence is to make you happy with our service, right? And if you are happy, the way you can tell thank you to us is by writing a customer review on us. And so, if you truly think that we have done what we told you, we promised you, we took care of a problem, definitely your review goes long ways. Right? And so people don't mind. Now, not everybody is up and up to write a review, especially for a problem like bed bugs, because they don't want their neighbors to know or their friends to know that they have bed bugs.
That is true.
Right? And it was way harder in the beginning, because at the time people thought that if you have bed bugs, you are a nasty person. There was a stigma attached to it. Not anymore. Now people understand that, hey, $1 million homes have bed bugs, and so does the trailer park. And it's about, you traveling and all, and that's how you get bed bugs.
So, if I'm a homeowner, for example, and I don't know I get bed bugs, give us some of the symptoms that people realize all of a sudden I have them I never knew, because you probably get a lot of those customers when they get in a really bad situation. But what are the early on signs that you can watch out, and knowing that you have bed bugs and they should call somebody like you to check, give them an estimate?
Fantastic. There are a few things I would tell you. One, let's say you are a family of 4. Not everybody is going to react to the bites the way a sensitive skin reacts. So, your wife may not react to the bites at all, and she thinks that it's not in her room. Whereas kids welts up, they create those, pink or purple welts and all, and now you get alerted, say, what's going on? So this is my experience in all this 20 years of dealing with bed bugs is, one, if you find something and you don't know what it is, don't go to Google and look at the photographs and say, nah, it looks like. Right? Because if you look at any pigeons, they all look same. But people who know the pigeons very well, they can identify, hey, that's a different pigeon than this one, right? So first of all, keep that sample before you decide what it is, and call an expert or call a company that a lot of time people have pest control company that does that comes to their home. You can simply show them the bug. That's one way of knowing. And don't kill it, squash them completely and now say, hey, look at it what it is. Because it doesn't matter how experienced a person is, they cannot look at a totally killed bug. So keep the bug intact. In most cases live. The best way is take a small piece of paper just like this, make a scoop out of it, put it under the bug, and they'll crawl up on that piece of paper, drop that piece of paper in a Ziploc bag. Now you got a sample that you can show it to confirm whether it is a bed bug or not. The other way is, if you look at, if you know, there are a lot of course, you can check your bed for it, because anything that eats got to poop, right? So
Yep.
they create those poop marks, and in insect world, poop marks means invitation. Come here, we are here. Let's have a party, right? So other bugs know that my buddies are here. Let me go socialize there. So their poop marks are always over there, on the bed, on the side of the beds where the seams are, under the seams, under the skirt. If people keep a skirt between the top mattress and a box, a lot of ways they also shed skin. So then skin, if you find a skin, keep it, and that way, it can be identified and check whether it is bed bugs or not. And then the next step happens is, now you got a problem. We typically ask so many questions to our customers to figure out where they're coming from. And even though we don't get paid for those things, we invest that time, and so we can provide them good recommendations on do's and don'ts. So it's a two-step process. One, we want to kill all the bugs. That's easiest part. Once we show up in the morning and we leave at night, it's done. There's nothing left that can come and bite you. But the second most important part is, if they live their normal life, they can bring it back because source is somewhere else. So that's a two-step process, and both the steps, the customer is very well engaged, and more accurate information we collect from customers, better the recommendations are.
I see. Some great advice here. Tell me, for someone starting a new business, trying to start a new pest control business, what is your best advice for them?
So the best advice is, if you can live without, oh well, let me rephrase it. If you cannot live without a paycheck for 3.5 years, don't even try.
Too early.
Too early, too early. And obviously the only shot you're going to miss is the shot you don't take. However, if you know that you are desperate of a paycheck for 3 years, then that's not the right time. Most of the time it's also the capital, right? So then you'll need to invest money in trucks. Insurance is a big deal. Is a commercial insurance now. If you look at commercial auto insurance, you're looking at about $4,000-5,000 a year premium. Now, for that, you don't have to have you cannot have a speeding tickets on you, DUIs, or accidents. So you make sure you drive right. A lot of you can start peeling the onion, and you can go deeper layer by layer, right? But basically, I would say that in any traditional business, even a subway shop requires you to sign a lease. And when you sign a lease, they look at your credit score, right? They don't want to sign a lease with somebody who, doesn't care about their credit score. So, and then that is a commitment. You signing off for 3 years, maybe $2,500 a month. That's 3 years of that money that you have to come up if you chose to close your doors, right? So either way, the financial commitment is definitely a big deal. And then on top of it, you have to be prepared to not see any profit for 3.5 years, maybe 5 years. right? And not that you're not going to make profit, but in the first 3 years, it's like going, having a small child. You do things for the child, and the child does not even walk, right? You do make profit. The problem is the money goes back into the business.
You reinvest back into the
You got to invest it back into the company, right? So that it grows, and and then obviously that will allow you to do a lot of things.
Yeah. So while they work for another company, let's say 3, 4 years, and trying to get their license, probably this is the best time to keep saving your money and preparing for your own business eventually. But you need to have the capital for 3 to 6 months minimum
I would say 3 years, not 3 to 6 months.
to survive 3 to 6 months.
Yes, but then again, if you have a strong spouse, your commitment is strong there in your marriage. If you are, and assuming that you are a couple, right? If one person has a good job, steady job, where the bread, that person is able to bring the bread on the table, then yes, you are free to do something that you want to, right? And then, really speaking, that pressure is off. I'll tell you, the first 2 years of us doing, starting the business. After 2 years, my CPA called, say, "Hey, you got to pay yourself." I said, "I don't want to pay myself." And he goes, "Well, you got to pay yourself, otherwise IRS will knock your door." I said, "Okay, pay me $1." Because my goal was to put money back into the business and grow it. And he said, "No, you cannot pay yourself $1." I said, "What is the minimum I have to pay myself?" He said, $500. I said, "Deal. Start doing it," right? And obviously we were profitable from the beginning. We grew every year 30%. Yet I want to keep the money in the company's account, so that in case if I have to expand it, have employees, before I get paid, the employee get paid, right? So that was our plan. That was my plan, and so that's basically, I would say. Now, if somebody is not stuck on one particular type of business, especially traditional, then maybe a person can contact me through you, as there are a lot of hybrid models out there, and in fact I'm part of one of them, where somebody don't have to give up their full-time income, and it's totally different than what they are doing typically, so that there is no conflict of interest. That's another thing, right? In industry like ours, I cannot own my company and keep working for another company. That's conflict of interest.
Yes.
So I have to let go that income that I was making at the company, and then start my own. Now, before you start, your name has to be approved. You have licensing and all those things has to be done before you start practicing or servicing a customer. So we gave 5 names, and none of them approved because it sounded like somebody else, or somebody else already have that particular name for a company, and we got rejection. Say, "No, fine, give me another 5 names." And finally we gave a few names and say, "Hey, all 3 names are approved, pick whatever you want." And then that's when we picked Himalaya Pest Control, because Himalaya is the mountain range, the highest mountain range in the world, and we wanted to translate that or communicate to our customers, say, "Hey, we're going to take care of you the utmost. We going to basically worship you like you are God."
Kumar, you dropped some amazing value, I believe, for our viewers. Thank you so much. And please tell us, where can people find you, where they can learn more about your business, your company, the services you provide?
So we are in Alpharetta, Georgia. So we are Georgia-based company, and we service all part of Georgia for bed bugs. And the reason is we typically show up, we have to do one treatment and be done, and that allows us to go all the way to Savannah, which is 5.5 hours, to take care of bed bugs. But you can find me online at www.himalaya.pestcontrol.com. HIMALAYA pestcontrol.com. We are five-star rated on Google, Yelp, local. Any site people can write reviews, but Google is our main site that we focus on, because one, it has to be a customer writing a Google review. So that's what they can find. They can read all the reviews, and they can also read my responses to those reviews, and it'll give them a good idea of how we do things and how customers think about us.
Yeah, with Google, you can't manipulate the reviews.
Right.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I saw, you have like 4.9 stars,
Yes.
which is it's amazing. 4.9 stars. It's very great reviews. So,
And again, we talked about reviews are like word of mouth on steroids. And then if you don't treat a customer right, then sometimes you get a bad review. Here, a customer called and gave us 1 or 2 stars, which she was not our customer. I took care of the problem over the phone, and yet she chose to write a 1 or 2 star review that pulled us down to 4.9. Otherwise, we are 5-star. So yeah, it helps a lot basically to customers who are looking to hire services. Also, we are only company recommended by Trustdell. Trustdell.com. Dale Cardwell used to be an investigative reporter for Channel 2 and CBS 46, and then after a while, he started his own company, screening those good companies that he thinks are the right, and he has been exclusively endorsing us for last 10 years. So that's another, feather on the cap that speaks volume about our consistency and how we take care of our customers.
that's awesome. Again, thank you so much for taking the time today to educate the viewers. And guys, link will be in the description how to get in touch with Kumar. Again, we read about his services, about his company, reach his company. Everything will be in the description. And Kumar, thank you so much. It was amazing.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate it, and I enjoyed the talk. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.